Roger, this is our next segment, marketing, tech and apps. I know that you and I need to spend a bit of time on this, not too long, but do you have maybe a couple you'd like to share with us this week?
Yeah, first one is called, and it's got a great name, I love this, it's called Voice Meter Banana. Now, there is actually a more advanced version, which is called Voice Meter Potato, so they've obviously got a fruit and vegetable thing going on here, but I'll just stick with Voice Meter Banana today. Now, actually, this is related to podcasting, Pascal. I've done nearly 250 episodes of my own podcast, the Marketing and Finance Podcast, which you kindly mentioned in the introduction, but recently I've been having dreadful trouble getting the audio right, and most of my podcasts are interviews, so I have people on Zoom or on Skype, and I've had to cancel a few interviews recently because the audio has just been dreadful. And I looked at Zoom. Is Zoom having a problem because of the fact that everybody in the world is using Zoom during the COVID lockdown? Is there a problem with Skype? And after quite a lot of messing around, I worked out that it was actually my mixer, my Alesis mixer. It's a actual physical unit with hundreds of knobs on it, has just packed in. And a lot of I went onto Amazon. Is there an alternative? Quite a lot of the equivalents have sold out. Some of them are very expensive, and I came across Voice Meter Banana, and it's a virtual mixing desk. You download it onto your PC. Obviously it looks on screen a little bit like the physical product, so there are sliders and knobs and that sort of thing, but it does everything that a physical mixer can do, but actually on your desktop. And it almost has virtual cables, so you can plug your microphone in, you can plug your Skype in, your Zoom in, and then you can output it so that to Audacity or to Adobe Audition or something like that. So all of a sudden, I've gone from having this great big clunky plastic thing with lots of knobs and sliders on to this very compact little thing on my desktop, and the sound is fantastic. I'm a very happy man, and apparently apparently it's been around for many years. But it always takes a crisis, like a piece of equipment packing in, like my mixer did, for me to actually go out there and source something as useful as this. So yeah, Voice Meter Banana.
Somehow you've summarised, the last 3 months for most of us. It takes a crisis to find a better solution, and I think for all the businesses around the world who have had to embrace digital more, it kind of feels like it. Right. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure whether your next suggestion is going to be able to outdo this one, but let's see. What have you got?
This sort of goes back a little bit as well to what we were talking about, the Twitter audio tweets. Now, there's a fabulous app from Apple. It's called Apple Clips. It's effectively a video recording app that you have on your phone. And it's been out again. It's been out for about 3 years. But the remarkable thing about Apple Clips, and this is why I love it so much, is that you can hold it up, you can take video, you can take selfie video, and as soon as you press record, it instantaneously generates captions on the screen as you speak. And it's remarkably accurate. It really is remarkably accurate, and it deals with my Northern English accent perfectly. Yes, you can go in and you can edit it. It does make the odd mistake, but I found it to be remarkably accurate. But it's the fact that it just puts those captions directly on the screen straight away. No need to upload it somewhere to get it transcribed and then download it with the captions and all of that sort of thing. It's instantaneous. There's only one flaw with the Apple Clips app. Otherwise, I would probably use it almost exclusively, and that is that it only does square video. If it did portrait and if it did landscape as well, I think I would just use it almost exclusively. So Apple, I love the Clips app, but please give me portrait and give me landscape, and then I'll be even happier.
Right. Well, listen, I may have a way to make you happier with regard to captioning and transcription.
All right, go on then.
I came across this wonderful application, best used on the laptop, I hasten to add, called Get Subly. Get as in the verb getting, and Subly, Subly. And Get Subly allows you to transcribe videos in any sizes you want, including landscape, which is usually my preferred format, but also they are pretty much able to do it in any common language around the world. So I did the test for you, Roger. I had a long form video, just really in 1 hour interview in English, and I had a half-hour interview in French, and I got some pretty close results with that. As you mentioned a moment ago, you can go in and edit. And because you're using your laptop primarily, the editing is very fast. You have the kind of editor with the timestamps, so you have little fields and so on and so forth. And then you end up in a situation where you literally listen to the video, you kind of scroll through the edit, and every so often the odd word that may be misunderstood or that is very similar to a different one, you can correct. Once you're happy with the edit, again, that gets repurposed. And you have two options. You can download this famous SRT file, acronyms that I always forget what it means, but the file that you can then re-upload on places like YouTube and Vimeo and many more to get the subtitles to appear at the right time. Or you can create a video where the transcription is literally embedded, if you will, or burnt into the video file as well. So I've done a bit of both, and Get Subly only this week celebrated their first 1 year anniversary. So they turned 1 year a moment ago. I got a lovely newsletter from the managing director, thanking for the support and so on, and they're going to make more and add new features and so on. So, like I said, it's not the perfect solution, and I know that you can do something very similar on YouTube directly with regard to captioning. But if it can ever be of help for your Rod's vlog or for anything that you do out there, I would definitely try Get Subly.
Yep, going to try that.
The next one, which is, I suppose, again, you and I don't talk to each other, but it's relating to content production, is something that I rediscovered. So, I tend not to forget more than I remember about those apps that you and I discover. And I rediscovered Screencastify. So as you know, when you do an app, you have to have a fancy name or some fancy spelling. But Screencastify, as the name may suggest, allows you to record your laptop screen and record your voice and your webcam at the same time should you choose to do so. So then you can do some tutorials. You can obviously do some tour of your platform. Do you know some of those questions sometimes you get, Roger, about how did you do that? And you end up having to write a lengthy email. But maybe what you could do is record a short video about how you did it, and people can see and hear your instructions. And then, if you want to, you can then upload this to Get Subly and then have transcriptions and captions in terms of that tutorial or kind of customer service call message, with regard to subtitles. The good thing about Screencastify, which I know you and I have been researching, it does record in real HD, not kind of fake HD or almost HD. It's
pretend HD.
Yeah. So I did a recording. I sent it to our video editor, Tim. I said, tell me whether or not it's worthy of my time. And he said, yes, that is great. So with Screencastify, you get 5 minutes of recording free. If you want to go over 5 minutes, you have to pay, but the price plan is very modest. It's not really extortionate cost. And it could be a wonderful companion for someone who is a content creator, again, either because you do tutorials, you want to share your screen and explain how you do things, or simply a good customer service call.
Fantastic. Do you know what? That sounds absolutely perfect. I think the tech we've looked at today covers quite a lot of ground, especially in the creation of podcasts and video shows. In this section of the show, we look at marketing tech. It's all those apps and platforms that have caught our attention over the last week. So, Pascal, you tell me, what have you got for us this week?
I've gone, Roger, for 2 apps that I simply could not do without. I've been using them for several years now, and imagine a situation where if they were to shut down or be taken over and stop working, or whichever, I would really be lost as a marketer. The very first one is called Flipboard. It's a curation tool that I've been using now for, nearly 7 years, would you believe? And there are many other options out there, but what I liked about it was that it's very visual. With Flipboard, what you can do is create online magazines that you can then share on with your audience. It's called Flipboard because it's got essentially the shape of those flip notepads that you can see sometime in your favorite cop series or journalist, that kind of gumshoe guy that comes around with a pen and writes down notes. And what you do with a Flipboard, once you share the online magazine around the theme or around a series of content and so on, people can flip by pressing the screen and with their finger go vertically, up. and the page turn by flipping over like that little notebook. You can have as many magazines as you want, the idea being that you specialize on subjects. So I've got one on SEO, on social media, on content marketing, on film, you name it. You can make them public, you can make them private. And it's just a wonderful way to curate swiftly and, more importantly, to then give that access to your audience. I think that's in the spirit of Flipboard. I would argue that they see themselves as a bit of a social network, and they release new features all the time. And because it's been part and parcel of my daily and weekly routine, Roger, if Flipboard was to disappear, I would be lost. And more importantly, this value add that I've invented for my customers, where they can go on my website and analyze and study the magazines, I would lose that. So I'm almost saying, Flipboard, please continue what you're doing, but don't go anywhere. The second app that frankly I could not do without is Quick by GoPro, spelled Quik. As you know, Roger, if you make an app, you have to misspell the name to make it sound obviously very attractive and appealing. And Quick by GoPro is a wonderful video editing app. Works on your mobile phones, both iOS and Android. It is essentially driven by this AI engine that will edit your videos. They can be still photography or video clips to the tempo of free music that you can also select within the Quick app. So you've maybe taken some stills at a recent trade show. Perhaps you've done some video clips of an event that you've delivered and so on, and you want to put together a bit of a promo reel, a bit of a wish you'd been there type of video. You select the video clips very easily. You select the music, you select this template. They have up to 11 to 12 templates to choose from. And then within seconds, you have a video that is edited. You can add text, you can change the order of the video clips, you can do a number of things. You can then download and publish directly on social media. And it is completely free. I don't know why, I don't know how, because with respect to GoPro, it's such a good app, I think people will pay a few pounds a month just for access to that. So if you like video editing done swiftly but also really well thanks to the AI engine, I recommend Quick by GoPro. So there you have it, Roger. Flipboard for content curation and sharing, and Quick by GoPro for video editing and sharing.
And presumably, the video, the editing in the Quick app doesn't have to have been filmed on a GoPro. Presumably, it could be filmed on anything.
Anything, absolutely anything. You could even download your video clips from your Google account, from obviously your kind of camera roll on your mobile phone. They have a desktop version, which I've never used because I'm primarily like everybody else on my mobile phone all the time. But yeah, you're right. You can be video footage from any sources whatsoever.
That's really interesting because as I segue now into my pieces of tech, we'll discover very quickly that one of them is probably interchangeable with what you've just described. Now, I love video editing as well. I love taking photographs and editing photographs. So my apps this week are similarly given over towards video and photo editing. And on my desktop at home, of course, I've got Adobe Creative Cloud, so that includes Photoshop, Premiere Pro, After Effects, all of that sort of thing. But obviously when you're out and about, even though Adobe is starting to release sort of cut down versions of their big industrial strength programs, it's quite nice just to have an app which you can just quickly nip into and do a bit of editing without too much complexity. And these two apps, InShot, which is the video editing app, and Snapseed, which is a photo-based app, are phenomenally simple and absolutely have a massive wealth of features. Now, from what you've just described, Quick to me, I'm thinking actually InShot and Quick probably sound like they do exactly the same thing. So I'm not going to go too much into detail with InShot. It's a very slick, on your phone video editor, all sorts of filters, templates, all the things you just described with Quick. So I'm actually going to go back to after this and download Quick and do a bit of a comparison between the two. I'll linger for a little bit longer on Snapseed though. And again, great name for an app, that, isn't it? Snapseed. It is remarkable the number of features that this app contains. It's even got that sort of Photoshop level of detail where you can thin somebody's face or widen somebody's face or remove blemishes or remove scars or whatever it might be. It can go into that sort of detail. It can do all the normal things like adjust the shadows and the brightness and the highlights and the saturation and all of that sort of thing. And again, you can overlay text on it. But what I love about Snapseed is just how intuitive and how simple the interface is. Literally everything can be done with the one finger moving around on the screen. And even if you take a pretty flat photograph, the lighting conditions aren't particularly great, 2 or 3 minutes messing around with the settings on Snapseed and you can turn it into a masterpiece. So InShot and Snapseed, absolutely worth checking out if you're into video editing and photo editing on your mobile devices.
So, Roger, marketing, tech and apps. As you know, every week we pick 2 apps or solutions that essentially take our fancy or something that we want to explore further. What have you got for us?
Okay. Now, as you know, Pascal, I've been dabbling with YouTube videos over the last 3 or 4 years. You always say this in the introduction. Thank you for that. I do something called Vlog, which is basically behind the scenes of my business. So sometimes I might be showing a video of me going to a conference and speaking. Sometimes it might just be a train journey or a plane journey. And as you can expect, those Vlogs have been a little thin on the ground since lockdown. But like any platform out there at the moment, there is always this bit of black magic going on in the background, which is called the algorithm. And YouTube is just like any other platform like Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook. You've got to know what the algorithm expects. And YouTube is effectively a massive bank of videos. But in reality, YouTube is a search engine. And a lot of people, when they go looking for videos, will type in questions like, where's the best place to visit in Edinburgh? Or what's the best coffee in Newcastle or something like that, and they will get results, and those results will be in the form of videos. So it's very, very important when you're putting a YouTube video together that you target specific keywords, and you put those keywords in your title of your video, but you also include them within the description of the video, and you also include them within the tags section of the video. Now, this can be extremely hard to actually get right, because if you come up with a keyword that millions of people are searching for, then the chances of your video rising to the top are absolutely nil. TubeBuddy is this platform that I discovered probably about 6 months ago, which helps you research those keywords, and then it ranks them in terms of the number of people searching for it and the amount of times people are searching for it, and it gives it a score out of 100, and it allows you to effectively create titles which will make your video rise to the top of search, and it will also give you a list of tags that you can include within your video, again to make it rise to the top. Now, since I've been using TubeBuddy, I have to say that the number of subscribers to my YouTube channel has increased, the number of views to my videos has increased, and I can even go back and say that's when I started using TubeBuddy, and those videos after I started using TubeBuddy have actually had more views and more engagement, and that's probably as a result of the fact that I'm now targeting keywords better. So really, really like that. TubeBuddy has been a revelation for me. It's also got a mobile app version as well. So if you're on the move and you have an idea for a video, you can just type it in and it'll come up with the keywords for you and give you suggested titles, and that even the suggested titles can give you ideas as to the sort of videos you can put together. So if you're a YouTuber and you're looking to increase your views and your subscriptions, check out TubeBuddy. Highly recommended. Now, the second piece of tech, this is actually on my PC. Now, I do quite a lot of writing, Pascal. I'm actually close to sending my book off to be proofread. That's a great big milestone. We can probably talk about that in a future episode. But I do write quite a lot of articles for Financial Services Trade Press, and I've played around with a few of these, correction apps like Grammarly and even the built-in correction in Word for Windows, I find them a little bit clunky. I'm not so much worried about spelling. It's more actually the construction of sentences. You know me, I like to keep things simple. And one of my biggest bugbears throughout my entire marketing career has been people using passive language in marketing material and in articles and in booklets and brochures and web copy. And this app, it's called Hemingway Editor, Hemingway after the author Hemingway, and you just paste your text into Hemingway Editor and it highlights adverbs, it highlights adjectives, it highlights passive sentences, active sentences, and again, it scores them and color codes them. So you can instantly see if you're overly passive, if you're overly active, if you're overly using adverbs and adjectives, and it just allows you to just quickly go through and chop out all that padding, as it were, leaving you with crisp, clear, easy to read copy. So Hemingway Editor, fabulous, and not as complicated as some of the correction software out there.
These are great choices. Thank you so much, Roger. I've heard of both of them, but I must confess I don't use them anywhere near as I should. So thank you very much for bringing them to the marketing tech and app segment. So my two are in fact two apps that I've used in the past, then somehow forgot about, as sometimes it can happen, and I find myself reconnecting with them because of projects I'm working on. They are both, which will perhaps surprise you, audio production and editing related. I know I'm saying this because I would always favor video as the format and media, but I want to reintroduce you to Anchor.fm. Anchor as in the item you're going to find on the boat.fm because it's audio. Now, Anchor.fm, you and I, with our actually good friend Richard Tubb, discovered it pretty much as it was launched many, many years ago. And it began live as, the kind of ways to get into podcasting app, easy to use and so on and so forth. Fast forward a few years, during which time I'd lost track of it, it's now actually been purchased by Spotify. It is a Spotify company, but it remains independent, and it offers pretty much everything you'd want from a production kind of solution. You can record on Anchor.fm, you can edit, slice and dice, you can even add some of their copyright-free stings and music. You can invite people to join you on an Anchor.fm call, so long as they have the apps. You can record literally phone calls for your podcasting, which is something that others don't do. It will distribute it to all the major platforms for people who listen to podcasts and so on and so forth. And there's both a mobile phone app and a desktop stroke laptop version. Interestingly, which is unusual, I found the laptop version to be better and easier to use than the mobile app, which is unusual because usually it's the other way around. But what I like about Anchor.fm is that it began humbly to say, if you want to get started with podcasting, we are the go-to platform, and you may choose to migrate away from us once you've kind of earned your stripes. Well, I think now it is a platform that people could use for many years to come. It's not just for the beginners. It seems to have kind of carved his niche into the kind of entertainment, sports, hobby type of realm. It doesn't seem to have a great deal of contributors from the business world. They do have some, but nowhere near as other platforms. But I think also what I like about the team behind Anchor.fm, they're approachable. You can tell that on Twitter. They reply to tweets, praises and criticism. They are themselves obviously audio producers. And when I heard that they'd been purchased by Spotify, at first, Roger, I was concerned. Thinking, here we go again. A big brand comes along and spoils it for everyone. And I would say so far, so good. Quite the opposite. In fact, what I think Anchor.fm has gained is the high distribution, as Spotify is really making good inroads into the world of podcasting. So I'm going to go back because I've been working on a separate project, not work related. Actually, you know about it. It's my Confinement Stories series, where I've been interviewing people from around the world about the positive side of lockdown and confinement. I've got now 10 episodes. I'm going to pressure test Anchor.fm and I'm going to publish them as audio only and see where that takes me. So that's my first one, and I'm excited because it's one of those where I discovered it and forgot, and it's back on my radar. Still with audio, well, I'm going to mention Audacity, only because I think we should.
Yeah.
It's the number one platform of choice for recording audio. There are many others out there. It's so powerful, and yet it is still free for users around the world. And we are using Audacity as part of the production of Two Geeks and Marketing podcast. And each time I play with it, each time I use it, I discover a new feature. I discover something that it can do, and I'm just blown away. So I know that for viewers and listeners, you will not be new to Audacity, but what I would encourage you to do is go beyond what you're doing right now. Be curious and explore other features, because you might be, well, you will be pleasantly surprised. So there you are, Roger. For me today, it's all about audio production, Anchor.fm and Audacity.
Fantastic.